everyone, welcome to week 15 of my Real Men segment. As Greg said, we are doing things a little bit differently. We're giving you 2 players that should score you a lot of points. Those are our go hard picks, and 2 players that you're going to have to really think about if you want to start or not. Those are the go soft picks because you're not going to be able to rely on as many points from them. So if you start them, you really need to rely on less points, or you might want to bench them, or hey, find someone maybe possibly still on the waiver wire. So last week, Beckham got you points. I told you he was going to beast out. Alfred Morris did not get you points. He was one of my go softs. So that's why we're doing this, to just help you guys out a little bit. So my first go hard for this week is wide receiver Antonio Brown. And what can I say? He has been having an amazing season. I did have him in one league, and too bad I didn't make the playoffs in that one because he has a great matchup this week. He is matching up with Atlanta this week, and as we know, Atlanta is terrible against the pass. They gave up 323 passing yards to Green Bay this past Monday night, and in week 13, they gave up 294 passing yards to Stanton, Arizona's second-string quarterback. They still remain last in pass defense, so I don't think that's going to change at all for them. And Antonio Brown has had 6 games this season with over 100 yards, so if he's basically getting you close to 100, if not over 100 all season, and he has 11 touchdowns on the season this far, which shows you that Big Ben is targeting him for sure. He's one of Big Ben's favorite targets in the red zone. And another thing with Atlanta is they're not very good against the run either, and they also have to worry about Le'Veon Bell. So I'm not sure how they're going to approach this game because they have to worry about Le'Veon Bell going crazy. They have to worry about Antonio Brown. Martavius Bryant is a rookie on the Steelers that we talked about earlier in the season that has been doing pretty good. So they have a lot of people that they have to worry about. So for sure, if they're concentrating on Bell, Antonio Brown is definitely going to be going crazy. And they played this game in Atlanta. So again, this is an important game for both teams. Both teams still have playoff hopes on the line. And this is a game that'll be indoors, which is always a good thing for this time in the season when weather can be a factor. So that's my first go hard. My second go hard pick is quarterback Andrew Luck, and I'm going to tie this in with wide receiver T.Y. Hilton as well because, again, this is a duo that has had a fantastic season this far, and they play the Texans. The Texans had big-time problems against them in Week 6. Andrew Luck threw for 370 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception in that game. And T.Y. lost his mind in that game. He went for 223 yards and a touchdown. So the Texans were not able to stop them earlier in this season. I don't think it's going to get any easier for them this week. Andrew Luck is having a career year, like I already stated. He has 4,305 yards, 36 touchdowns, and only 13 interceptions. He's added another 250 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. This is his best year yet in the NFL, so this is a great year for you to own him in fantasy if you did. And the Texans are giving up the most fantasy points to wide receivers out of any team. And as we know, T.Y. is one of Luck's favorite targets there. And the Colts are playing this one at home. I think it's going to be a pretty ugly game. The Texans are still in it, still fighting for a playoff spot. But I think that Andrew Luck is going to have a much better week than he had last week. He struggled a little bit last week against the Browns. I don't think that's going to be a problem for you this week. So those are my 2 go hards. Let's move it on to the go soft picks. Again, these are picks that are, you can't really rely on as much. My first go soft is quarterback Russell Wilson of the Seahawks. And I don't like this matchup for him because the 49ers defense is still very good. They're 3rd in the league this year, and they're 4th versus the pass. Now, we know Russell Wilson likes to run a lot, but let's face it, as a quarterback, you have to throw the ball too, and he's going up against a tough defense to throw. And in the last 5 weeks, Russell Wilson's worst game was against San Francisco. So he's been pretty good, a lot more consistent the last 5 weeks. but he had a bad game against them a couple weeks ago. And these are typically low-scoring games. These two teams' defenses tend to really ball out. They're hard-hitting, they're physical defenses. These 49er Seahawks games are not games that you're getting, you know, the 30, 40 points, even 28 points. They're usually pretty low, 17, 21, 14, you know, stuff around there. So I just don't look for this one to be a high-scoring game. It's being played up in Seattle as well, so that benefits Seattle a little bit. But I just don't think this is going to be a game that Wilson's going to get you a lot of fantasy points and blow up the board. And my last ghost off for this week are, I'll say, two running backs, both of the Giants running backs, Rashad Jennings and Andre Williams. And I'm giving you both of them because Rashad Jennings is still a little banged up. Andre Williams had a lot more carries. He had a really successful week last week, but they go up against the Redskins, another divisional matchup that can be tough. I hate divisional games in fantasy playoffs. And the Redskins give up the third fewest fantasy points to running backs. They're doing pretty doggone good at stopping the run. And they haven't given up 100 yards to a single back since week 8. So that shows you that, you know, these two are going to be sharing the touches, but I don't think either one of them is going to get you 100 yards. The Redskins defense is good against the run. And Jennings, as I just said, is still gimpy. So I think this is going to be a game that they're going to have to rely on Eli passing the ball. The Giants tight end, Larry Donnell, had a great game against the Redskins the last time they played the Redskins. So I think it might be up to him and Beckham, and they're not going to be able to do much with that running game there. So watch out for those matchups. And those are my go hard, go softs for this week. Good luck in your playoffs if you're in your first round. If you've already moved on to your second round, congratulations and good luck. And we're going to swing it to Greg for his Beast Mode picks.